This is just a short yoga practice you can do in a chair. So start by finding a chair where your feet touch the ground. And when you have that, just push down through your sitting bones, your ischial tuberosities. Feel tall up through the length of your spine all the way through the crown of your head. And you might notice that in the anterior part of your body, your abdominal muscles seem to engage. And then in the posterior part of your body, your back muscles seem to engage. When both of those sets of muscles are engaging equivalently, you're in what's called axial extension. You could think of it as a tall, long spine. It's interesting to compare this to how you typically sit. So if you'd like for a moment, just sink back and you'll feel probably all that engagement melt away and the chair's doing the work rather than your body. So then to really feel it, return and get really tall, like when you were a kid and you were trying to be tall enough to get on a roller coaster and you were just maybe like 1/4 of an inch too short. So that's the first movement of your spine, axial extension. Slide your hands to your knees now. Round your back towards the back of the chair. Let your shoulders roll slightly forward. Let your chin tuck in. And then try to push your back into the chair back. You'll feel your shoulder blades, your scapulae part and widen from one another. And you might notice in this variation, your abdominal muscles are working in order to round your spine towards a space behind you. Your pelvis slightly tucks in to a posterior tilt, and this is called spinal flexion. Now let's feel its opposite. Actually give a little tug of your hands on your knees and guide your sternum up, forward and up. You'll feel your sitting bones rock back slightly. That's an anterior tilt of your pelvis. Your shoulder blades will roll in rather than apart. And lift your chin slightly up. This is called spinal extension. You might know it as a back bend. You might feel in this variation your back muscles working, and then it's your abdominals that are getting a stretch here. And then return, axial extension. Place one hand on the side of your chair. We'll find the next movement. The other arm, reach it up. First get really tall, so reach directly up, and then cinch the other side of your waist so that you can fall over into a side bend. Now usually this is called lateral extension because on this side you're laterally extending, but what you have over here actually, where it's cinching like a drawstring, that's lateral flexion. You might feel a lot of stretch around your rib cage. That could be your intercostal muscles, the ones between the ribs, getting a little extra space. And then just release. We'll find the other side. So return first to neutrality, then reach the opposite arm up, get tall, and rotate, side bend over. Push down through both sitting bones, and your tendency might be to rotate even, to turn down, but instead, keep your sternum pointed forward and feel that full side bend action. And then return. The next movement that we have is rotation. So this is a two-sided movement. So just take one arm, cross over to the other side. You can reach back, hold the back of your chair if you wish. It kind of helps. Now we're not going to go into a rotation in one fell swoop. We're going to take it in 3 parts. So push down through your pelvis. Now think about rotating only from the bottom of your ribs down to your pelvis. So that's going to feel maybe 20, maybe 30 degrees. Keep your gaze in line with your sternum. So what we just did was rotated only through the lumbar spine, those big, clunky lumbar vertebrae. Now let's take the second third, your thoracic spine. So turn your rib cage. You might notice you don't move very much there. That's because your ribs are connected to that portion, the thoracic portion of your spine. And that really limits your mobility. And then finally, here's where you have the most mobility. It's your neck, your cervical spine. So turn your head in that same direction. And now what you might experience is that full sense of rotation. Come on out in thirds. So first your cervical spine. Then feel the big chunk of your ribs release, thoracic. And then finally your lumbar spine. We'll take the other side also in thirds so you can cross over if it helps you. Inhale, sit tall. Exhale, think about just your waist, really, your thoracic spine, or your lumbar spine. Then let your thoracic spine follow. So turn your sternum. And again, this might feel like rather than segmented movement, one big movement of your rib cage. And finally, your cervical spine. And then releasing those same segments. Cervical spine, thoracic spine, lumbar spine. Let's move a little lower into legs. Take one leg, lift it up, and cross your ankle over your thigh. Dorsiflex your ankle. So if you're pointing or plantar flexing, that can lead to a little instability in your experience in your knee. So dorsiflex. You can take your hand and press it down and then slightly out. This would be adding external rotation to your hip. So push down through both sitting bones. Externally rotate, and what you're feeling now very likely is all the muscles that support your hip socket, where your head of your femur bone fits into the acetabular socket, the ball and socket joint that you have. If you want more, you can bring in some hip flexion and fold forward. Keep your back in axial extension. Keep pulling your sternum forward, your shoulder blades slightly together. And then come on up. I think it's nice to release your leg rather than just flopping it off. So lift your knee for your leg and we'll come to the opposite side. Cross, ankle over thigh. Dorsiflex. Externally rotate. Inhale, axial extension. Exhale, hip flexion. Notice if your shoulders roll down, just pull them slightly back. And then come on up. Help your leg out. Inhale, sweep both arms over and up. And then exhale, press your palms together and touch your thumbs towards your sternum. Think about lifting your sternum toward your thumbs and then press your thumbs right back. Take a full breath in, feel the base of your belly, and then feel your rib cage expand, not just in the front, but in the back, the posterior, and your side body. And with a full exhale, release. Thanks for that short practice. I hope it helps. Good luck in your class.